everyone, I'm Diana Kelter, a senior trends analyst at Mintel.
And I'm Alexis DeSalvo, the senior retail and e-commerce analyst.
So back in March, which feels like a lifetime ago, back when
Literally.
we actually sit next to each other around a table.
I don't even remember what that was like.
It feels like a lifetime ago. But right around early part of March, we sat down to talk about Ty Haney, the founder and CEO of Outdoor Voices, her resignation at that time, and what that meant for the DTC space, what that the CEOs of these DTC brands have always been a very public figure of the brand. So it really was a big shakeup and what that would mean for the future of Outdoor Voices. And obviously, since that first conversation in March, COVID-19 has really shaken up everything. So we kind of have been watching this space and monitoring the evolution. And just last week, it was announced another shakeup at Outdoor Voices, which is that they are bringing on a new chairwoman, Ashley Merrill, who is also a founder of a DTC brand called Luna, which was founded in 2014. So she's replacing the interim CEO, Cliff Moskowitz. I believe that's correct, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So she's coming in, she's bringing in, kind of bringing back that woman leadership focus. Ty Haney, it's not clear what her role is going to be, but she's taking on an active role once again. So definitely a lot of shakeup happening. And I'm going to turn over to Alexis to what this means in the retail landscape right now.
Yeah, I think it's really indicative of the fact that everything is changing. Like Diana said, COVID-19 really shook everything up for everyone in every sense of the way. And I think for retail in particular, this pandemic is, I hate to use this word because it's overused, but I'm going to use it anyway, unprecedented. And it's really accelerating pre-existing problems. I think all retailers have challenges, and it's just kind of highlighting those challenges for everyone. So for a retailer like Outdoor Voices, where there was this kind of like leadership challenge and maybe challenge with profitably engaging with consumers. I don't think they had a problem with customer engagement, but I think it's making a profit. That really kind of was highlighted and came under the microscope. But I also think that for a brand like Outdoor Voices, which is really focused on doing things and is really focused on engaging with the customers. And they really did a good job pre-pandemic of doing that in person. It's like bridging that on and offline experience. They also, in my opinion, did a really good job of pivoting during the crisis to really replicate that experience digitally as best as possible. So they used to have in-person workouts or gatherings. Diana and I have actually done them together. And then they changed that to do virtual recess. And this was like right away, like week one, like where we didn't even know what we were doing or how long we were going to be in it. And I think that kind of helped that core loyal outdoor customer or Outdoor Voices customer stay engaged, and kind of help shift away some of the otherwise negative attention on Ty's departure, which seemed probably less than desirable, but still kind of like unclear why she was leaving. And then we found that in that interim, not only did Cliff leave, but Mickey Drexler, who was the former CEO of Gap and of J. Crew, he had been on the board since 2018, he left. And now to Diana's point, where you have seen then like this 360 where now Ty's back and Ashley Merrill's kind of on the board and kind of taking charge just in an interim. So we've seen this shift from an exit of Ty and then her return. And I think it's just an indication that there is a need, not necessarily for rethinking the customer experience, because they've already kind of been able to do that, but to rethink maybe the leadership and maybe kind of focusing on internal problems that they had and kind of revisiting that. And I think that we're seeing that kind of at other DTC retailers as well, at all retailers.
Totally. And I think you make such a good point about how Outdoor Voices quickly pivoted during COVID-19. I think that's something exemplary of the DTC space, that they are so good at pivoting quickly and making those changes to fit what the customer needs very quickly. And so I think one thing that captured my interest with this, it seems like there was a clear division of more like the old school legacy retail leadership and this new DTC leadership that kind of brings a new focus to what the retail space looks like. They're both innovating. I think traditional retail and this newer e-commerce form of retail, they're both innovating in very interesting ways, but there's clearly a difference in how they approach leadership. And I think one thing we talk a lot about in trends is this emotional connection, how brands aren't just something selling you a product anymore. They're selling you an experience. They're being a resource. There's something consumers look to as their friends. And I think that comes obviously from the leadership. So I'm curious from your perspective, you obviously pay attention to all layers of retail.
Yeah.
The role in two DTC women who've been in the DTC space. They founded these like companies like Luna from Ashley, Outdoor Voices is Ty Haney's like baby. So do you think there is that division between legacy and kind of this new school?
I think there definitely is, but there are definitely traditional brick and mortar retailers or legacy retailers that are doing it well and or still having challenges. And I think there are DTC retailers who maybe aren't doing it as well, or maybe we thought they were and now they're having issues. I think that your point about like it's a customer in today's retail world is buying into not just a product, but an experience. It's an emotional connection to a brand. That is what a younger shopper is buying into. They want like the full thing. That is really it. I think Outdoor Voices was at a risk before this, like before the pandemic, when all these changes first were announced, of potentially losing some loyal customers because of Ty's exit. I think that the pandemic actually worked to their benefit because it kind of distracted everyone from that. And now they have a chance to like really retain and maybe even engage new followers. I think we've seen some traditional retailers, like I think Nordstrom does a really great job of really having people buy into the brand and really evolving and kind of not thinking of such like an old school mindset, but they have challenges. And then you have like today, we were just talking about this, Brooks Brothers announced they're filing for bankruptcy. J. Crew, Mickey used to lead them. And I think that they used to do a really good job of having like a full J. Crew brand, and maybe they kind of lost their way and lost touch with that. I think that now customers, especially now in today's climate, and especially younger shoppers, they are really aware of not just the place they enter to buy something, not just the product that they're buying, but like what is going on behind the scenes? What does this brand stand for? Are you really walking the walk and talking the talk? Everlane is an example. I personally love their product. They've come under a lot of heat lately because they've built themselves on this pillar of transparency, and there are a lot of questions whether that is actually valid or they are as transparent as they say they are. So I think that customers today are buying into the whole brand, but they are really demanding to know what's going on. So an Outdoor Voices customer, probably if they are starting to read about how there is like this all male board and they're pushing out women, whether or not that is exactly the case, that's how it could be interpreted. Now to see that there's more women coming involved or becoming involved, that ties back, and they're looking to hire even more women, even more people of color to be in leadership, that's important to that customer.
Yeah, I agree. So I think in summary, we're just going to continue to see a lot of shakeup in the retail landscape. It's going to be
it's never ending. This is definitely not the last. That I think we'll probably even have more to say again later on this, because they're going to have to hire someone, whether Ashley Merrill takes charge or they hire someone else. I'd be really interested to see how they really do kind of fill out that board and fill out that leadership position. But yeah, I think they're just one example. I just think it's really interesting because it's kind of up and down, and we'll see what happens.
Totally. Well, we'll stay tuned here.